Yes, greetings, brothers and sisters. Here we are once again with Tamara Gabriel, founder of From Rehab to Life Foundation. And this podcast is about mental health solutions to drug and alcohol addiction, violence and crime, and homelessness. Now, you know, we had Brother Wesley here last week with us. Now this week we've got Brother Nathan here to strengthen his experience, strength and hope in these areas. So as much as we could cover. And
how you doing, guys, by the way?
Okay. Well, please introduce yourself. Tell us a bit about yourself before we get into things.
So my name's Nathan Taylor. I'm currently working for Our Forgotten Neighbours. If you guys don't know, they're a charity that do lots of good community work. So we do the soup kitchen on Thursdays, which Tamara is normally present at, which is really good. We've just started doing another soup kitchen in Finsbury Park every Friday.
Right, yeah.
Just between the Lidl and the park.
That's correct.
So we're going to give away lots of food like we did last week. So we have hot food as well from the West Indian shop. And then we also have a barber who does free haircuts. Wow. So the aim was to get the homeless to come over, get some food, get a haircut and walk away feeling
much better,
brand new.
Yeah.
And we've got some footage actually that we took of people like commenting after their haircuts.
Amazing.
Just beautiful.
Amazing.
So that's that's what's going on right now.
Yes, brothers and sisters. And the thing is, brother, you know, it's wonderful to help our brothers and sisters out there with a blanket, with some food, hot food, as well as groceries, fresh fruits and vegetables, a haircut and so on. But we need to go further than that. We need to help them back into a responsible way of life, as we know many of them, or even most of them actually, are on drugs and alcohol, you know, and they are, no disrespect to those who are not, but the majority of them are. And it would be wonderful, you know, for them to break that cycle, because as long as they're drinking and drugging, they'll always be in a state of homelessness. They'll get one flat and then they'll drink and drug their way out of it, back to homelessness again, get another one, drink and drug their way back out of it, and so on and so forth. I have seen this cycle over the last 30 years.
That's addiction.
So I know what I'm talking about.
That's what addiction does.
You know what I mean? This is it. So really and truly, From Rehab to Life Foundation is about mental health solutions. When we're talking about this thing here, it's not to glorify it, it's not to exalt, it's not to say, oh, poor me, or a hard time I had. It's about showing people, well, first of all, man, we got to get honest with ourselves, man. You know, we got to stop going into denial, and we need more black people to come forward, because in rehab centers and so on, there are a minority or none at all, non-existent. And you've got so many black brothers and sisters from morning till night. You see them walking up and down with cans of tenants, hanging around, scoring bits of crack, bits of heroin, this and that, shooting up and smoking up wherever possible. I found them smoking in the dustbin shed in front of my house. You know what I'm saying? And so on several occasions, and so on and so forth. There's an epidemic out there, you know, and a lot of people need to wake up to that. And the mental health solution, of course, you know, this is what we're basically focused on. Like, for example, I was reading some statistics here about 20% of the children in what you call it, in child protection units and so on. 20% of them, they say, comes from drug and alcoholic families. I would say that percentage is higher than that. This is only what they actually have recorded of cases that's been taken to court and to hospital and so on and so forth. You know, but most people hide that sort of thing. Most people hide it. This is a terrible and dreadful disease. It's not just a habit; it's a disease, and it's a spiritual and mental disease, as well as a physical disease, in the form that we get an allergy towards it. That's as though we find it the smell of alcohol, or you know what I mean, or the taste of cocaine. Suddenly you just want more. You can't stop. It takes over your whole life. You don't care about the children again, about your responsibilities,
about your life.
Yeah,
your life in general.
About your life. Yes, brother.
100%.
Yeah. So maybe you could tell us a bit about for you, for example, what would you tell someone who's struggling with drugs, with drug addiction at this time?
Would it be good for Nathan to just give us a bit of his experience, for the viewers' sake?
Yeah.
Just let them know where he's coming from.
Yeah. So I mean, I did a show not too long ago. I spoke about my past experiences as a cocaine addict, which I was kind of stuck in for 15 years, and it was, one of the hardest times in my life to kind of like go through. But what I would tell somebody who was struggling, from my experience, would just be to speak to somebody. Do you know what I'm saying? Just speak to at least one person. Because I found once I offloaded that sort of burden, it was a bit easier for me to deal with and to cope with. Yeah, so communicate how you're feeling.
Absolutely, how you're feeling, and how about asking for help? That's a real big one. Again, asking for help. Most people go to the grave without asking for help. Just asking for help could save them from going down in the...
But as you say that, there's... who would you guys suggest the right person, not the right person, the right character of people would be for someone that's going through this right now? Like, because there's so many different people that you can't ask for help. And that's what puts people off asking help. You understand what I mean?
It would have to be someone that is not judgmental.
Yeah, this is what
someone that's open-minded, not necessarily someone that's been through the same thing.
Yeah.
But they just have an understanding that as humans we fail sometimes. We just need a listening ear. Do you see what I'm saying? So that could be someone's mum. I might not choose to talk to my mum, which I did, but someone else might choose a professional person.
Yeah, because I feel like that's what is holding back people from asking for help. It's just that sometimes they don't feel comfortable with anyone who they're going to
how they will be perceived by
other people.
And not everyone will help.
Well, the thing is with that one there, at the end of the day, in order to recover, we have to, a lot of people reach a place of desperation where it doesn't matter whether they're going to judge me or not. I just got to talk to somebody. And we have to take our chances. We can't predict that, this person will, be non-judgmental to us. We can have an idea that there probably will be, but this is something where when we're dealing with our life, we have to give the ego, put it aside, because this is the ego that is driving us to our depths, brothers and sisters. And this is something the ego has taught us all our lives, brothers and sisters, that you can't live without me. You need to be a bit dishonest in this world to get by. You got to get a bit arrogant sometimes, or a bit, or you got to get a bit judgmental sometimes, or sometimes you got to get a bit impatient, move on, get things done. You got to be, you have to be so many anti-spiritual traits. It's all right to get angry sometimes. You need to get angry to, let them know they can't mess with you or whatever and stuff like that. And you can't let people know, like you said, what they're going to think about you if you talk about this and this and that. So we become trapped in our egos.
The reason I even said it, because I feel like people that are not addicts, they're very judgmental towards addicts. So like when it comes to helping, they're very judgmental. Oh well, you could just go and do that. Oh well, why don't you just go and do this? Oh, you could have just stopped doing that. There's help out there. Why don't you just go and get the help? Do you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that judgment doesn't always help people to go and get help.
Dishearten people.
It's very disheartening, and I've seen it before. You know what I'm saying? I've seen people and that's the only reason why I'm saying I understand, and because what you're saying is very true. But because you guys have been through the experience, I feel like you guys would know a bit more. And like you said, it's a mental health solution. So if anyone, you guys would be able to say, okay, yeah, I understand. Like, these are the kind of places for everyone to get help, because everyone's different as individuals.
Of course,
some people don't like to talk. Some people handle things this way. Some people handle things that way. Some people handle things this way. That, you know what I'm saying? So it's not where there's no one collective way of a characteristic that is an addict.
Well, this is why there's no sort of this way or that way about being honest. We just have to be brutally honest. There's no sort of, oh, well, you got to be a little bit more sensitively honest with this one and more...
not about sensitively honest. I'm talking about when seeking help. You know, like,
yes,
there must be, like you say, look, there's Forgotten Neighbours and you've got Rehab to Life. If there wasn't organisations like that,
who would people turn to?
Absolutely. But also, you see, the same people who, in fact, say, oh, why don't you go and get help, this and that. That's their ego talking as well.
Yeah,
they're full up with ego too.
Exactly.
Everyone is touched with it. Everyone is inflated with it. And it's something that it has to be deflated in order to go and ask for help, to talk about it. So then it doesn't really matter who you talk to. Once the ego is deflated out of the way, you ain't got no time to waste about, oh, talk to this one because they got a more compassionate air. You'll just, you just start saying, listen, I can't stop, I need help.
Yeah.
Where can I get some help or whatever?
Can I quickly ask you a question? Sorry to interrupt. So, I spoke about who I spoke to, like when I was going through my tough times. Who did you go to when you was
I tell you who I went to.
The first person
I tell you, the first person I went to was to God.
Okay.
I was in prison, brother. You know what I mean? I was in and out of prison like a yo-yo the last 4 years of my addiction and all that, really roughing it badly, and all the rest of it. A lot of 17 arrests for shoplifting, trying to keep up the habit in the last 4 years of my addiction that spanned 20 odd years. And to tell you the truth, brother, I just got down on my knees because now I was homeless, no home to go to.
Was that the rock bottom?
No home to go to, estranged from all my family. No one want to talk to me, estranged from all my friends and all the rest. Estranged from myself. I was estranged from God. I stopped praying and stuff like that because I prayed every morning and night. And suddenly I had a moment of clarity and I got down on my knees in that and I said, God help me. I've never admitted it to anyone, not even in court when they've asked me if I'll admit it, I'll go to rehab instead. I said, no, I'm all right. I said, God, I'm an addict, alcoholic, help me. And that's where it started. And from I got that courage there, the prison door flap opened about a minute or so after that. No, not even a minute, and seconds after that. And the prison officer asked me if I wanted to go to an AA meeting. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was Automobile Association. He said, no, it's for alcoholics. And I said,
how many years ago was that?
And that is like 21 years ago, something like that.
So
22 years ago, and so on. And that's where I just got the courage from there to ask for more help from others, But my first port of call was my higher power, our creator.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. Good. Obviously, not everyone's religious.
Yeah.
So we have to keep that in mind. That everyone's got their own.
Yeah. Well, I'm not religious. I'm not religious. I believe in spirituality.
Okay.
I believe in a spiritual way of life. I'm not into organized things where people have to bow to this and bow to that and all that sort of thing. No.
As part of the Rehab to Life Foundation and Forgotten Neighbours, do you guys send people to any particular places where they can get help?
Well, in fact, yes. From Rehab to Life, for example, we've sent people. We've got a referral a unit in Islington, to refer people to, and we also have another service where we refer people for Reiki and
massages
and reflexology and massage.
What's Reiki?
Reiki is holistic healing. Holistic healing, you know, yes, holistic healing can be used with crystals and things like that, using the crystal energy.
Yeah, I haven't tried that myself.
Just like you got sound therapy with Brother Wesley there. That's another great therapy, you know, and which is part of that is in meditation. Anyway, when you play music, that sound and you know, the running water and all that.
That's
you know, connect with our spirit, you know, with ourselves, because that's what we need to connect to. We need to connect with our spiritual being in order to get the power we need.
Can we go back to what's Reiki? Just because of my little phone.
Right, yeah.
What's Reiki?
Yeah, it's a holistic healing where, you know, you're healed in spirit, mind, and body. You're not just focused on one particular area. And
don't they lie you down and then they run their fingers just above your body?
Yes,
draw the energy out, the bad energy.
Yes, that as well, and even using crystals as well in that process as well. And it's very good. I've experienced that several times. It's a very good. It's very good therapy. It's very good for connecting with our true being, our spirit within us. You know, not that physical thing that you see, but the invisible power which, you know, helps us to breathe every day and think and move. And without it, we'd just be like statues, you know what I mean? And when we're disconnected from that, of course, it's going to be very difficult to recover from drug and alcohol. In fact, it's going to be... it's not possible really to recover without being connected with our higher power.
So can I just quickly ask you, because we're all talking here, so once you spoke to your higher power, to God, whatever the case may be, how long after that did you manage to get yourself back onto the road of recovery? Because obviously you didn't just pray and then that was the end of your addiction, or am I wrong?
Well, I mean to say, I was willing to stop.
Okay.
You know, I was willing to stop. I come to a place where I'm willing to stop. I'm willing to listen. I was deflated. My ego was no longer in the way. I didn't care about what people think about me anymore. People says, oh, you're going to go to another prison when you leave here, because I says, I'm going to go to St. Luke's Rehab. Right. In Canada, they says, oh, that's like another prison, and it's got big high white walls around it as well. You know, I says, I don't care. I'm going to get the keys to my freedom. I'm going to listen. I don't know it all. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to start all over again. You know, and that was my attitude, and I just asked for help. I haven't confessed that I don't trust myself when I leave the prison, that I'm going to go straight to the rehab, because I know I'm going to get a celebratory drink because I deserve it after 2-3 months, and then all bets are off from there. And so a prison drug worker accompanied me on my release from prison all the way to rehab. That was my guardian angel for that day, and this is why I'm here today.
Good.
Yeah.
It must have been very different in terms of what was available 20 years ago.
Yeah.
When you think about it.
Yeah.
Well, of course, there wasn't as much available 20 odd years ago as there is now.
There's a lot.
Yeah, awareness is a lot more.
What about yourself? Was there, Nathan? What was that moment for you?
What, my lowest point?
Yeah.
The lowest point, as I said before, a few weeks ago, was just being in a room with my friends at the lowest point of addiction, trying to score some cocaine, and I just think that was it for me. I didn't pray, but I just felt within myself that I needed to go and get myself sorted out. Whereas before, it was just a passing thought, you know, just like, I want to get better. The weekend would come, I'll just carry on doing the same thing. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I went to a rehab centre on Hornsey Road, which was called the ISS at the time. Okay. So that's where I started off, just doing the meetings, the counselling sessions, which I think was really good for me.
Oh, is it an out? It's not a residential.
It's not residential,
rehab.
No. So I just went I had classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We just sit down and everyone just talks about their experiences. Yeah. You know, one time everybody added up their drug addiction, so we did it over the sort of time frame of their addiction. Yeah. And I think mine came to like £75,000 or something like that. Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You won't even believe it, innit?
Yeah. That's a nice chunk towards a new house.
Yes, for how long a period was that?
15 years.
15 years.
Yeah, I know there's a lot worse than that. There's bigger numbers than that. But 75,000 is an awful lot of money.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Well, what about our life? It's how can you put a figure on that?
No, you can't.
Exactly.
You can't.
Exactly. Yes, brother. And unfortunately, as it would seem, from what because I went through a period like we lost the service for the Reiki and the massage and all that, but it looks like it's going to be reinstated, and that was because because of the same thing about people who just say they're going to go to the rehab and they don't go, or they're going to go for this treatment and they don't go for it, and then suddenly they mess it up for people who really need it, who really want to go. This is why a lot of people have got a lot of difficulties getting funding from the authorities, because because of the amount of people they see keep messing up and messing up, and all that money. In your case, of course, the money's been very well spent, but it's not always guaranteed. I'm sure there's. Do you know anybody who's still going through addiction from the time you went into you attended rehab?
Loads of people. Interesting that you said that. About a month or so ago, one of my good friends contacted me and asked if one of our mutual friends could get in contact with me. And I remember when I was stopping my addiction, he was one of the worst people. So when I was trying to stop, he's the one that would be there, literally tempted me with the coke in my face. So I found out that he was clean for about 6 months, and now he's gone right back to how he was before.
Wow.
So and you just got to give it a wide berth, innit? You just got to let people do what they're doing. If I can see that somebody's trying, then that's different. But if I can see you're still in that dark place, I can't do nothing. You've got to decide you want to get out of that. Do you know what I'm saying?
Do you know any deaths as a result of cocaine habit?
Not from cocaine. What about yourself?
Oh yes, I know a lot of deaths from cocaine, especially crack. Many deaths.
Did you actually see any deaths around you?
Let me say this. The closest I've actually got to one was when I knocked on the brother's door and his son said his father's not in. I said, what do you mean he's not in? He's always in. Addict is always in. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? He says, no, his father's dead. I said, what? Yeah, that was the closest I've got to it. But there's so many cases of that. People I smoked crack with in the crack house ended up in the hospital. This one was St. George's, and she was 28 years of age, and she passed away. And this one from rehab, he relapsed while I was still in rehab. He left the rehab and took some coke, and he passed away, and so on and so forth. And so lots of cases.
We're lucky to be here, then, right?
Absolutely.
I know that I'm very lucky to be here. I've had many moments where I thought I was gonna go.
What's sad is that when people relapse, it's easier for them to overdose. Because I know that's a friend of mine in the past. That's how he died. He came off of it, but then he went back to a girl that was still.
Oh, she's still using.
Yeah, and he took a bit. I think she even gave him a bit more when he was sleeping. But I think it was heroin. But you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And then he didn't wake up. So
that's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So there's loads of different things that. There's some people that I couldn't mention because they actually got big names as well, even in music and stuff. But you know what I'm saying? It's it's but a lot of those things as well. When people relapse, when people relapse, their body can't handle it.
Because I guess you're overcompensating for what you've missed out on. Maybe.
No, because the body's become in a cleaner state, and so it's so suddenly when you rush it with the load of
heroin or crack or whatever it is.
Or even alcohol, you can really cause such a shock to the system that it just won't take it. And of course some people, but this is also we were made aware of the fact that when we return to addiction, whether it's drugs or alcohol, we return back to the place where we left off. So if you was on the verge of death where you left off, that's where you return to when you start relapsing.
Yeah.
You know, and so they're thinking that you're starting afresh. I'm strong. I've had 3 months clean time, but that from that one drink or that one bit of toot or smoke or crack or whatever, you're right back there where you left off.
And
Just like
and
that.
it's very important to mention that addiction never stops. You could be 10 years clean from alcohol, crack, whatever it is, but you still have the addiction.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
absolutely.
It's still a daily battle, and you still got to be mindful, as I said before, where you go, your circles. You just have to be meticulous of who's around you.
That's right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And again, recently, since I've seen you, there's been a couple of birthdays. I couldn't go. I couldn't go to the birthday because I was like, all right, cool, his birthday. I know that he sniffs. Who else is going to be there? So and so and so and so. So they're all going to be sniffing. I can't go. Do you know what I'm saying?
Serious.
So it never stops for me. I'm honest with myself, you know.
Yes, well, I salute you with that. And, you know, I mean, I've spent many years like that where I wouldn't even go into a pub. I would not even for a piss. You know, I kept away from all these different
was drinking your
parties.
was drinking your catalyst to the crack, or could you
Not
do that
really.
without?
No, I do it with or without it.
Okay.
It's just a part of it. In fact, the drinking, how it got on board was quite simply, I found it very effective while I was taking the cocaine or smoking crack. Like it went, it seemed to smooth things
to
out.
blend
if
well
you know what
together.
I'm saying, you know, the cocktail, you know, had some kind of effect for me, which I thought, well, it worked at the time. But obviously, I was killing myself slowly and not realizing it.
Do you know, I just want to say, it's not a lot of people know about the dangers of actually smoking crack and drinking alcohol, or sniffing and drinking alcohol at the same
tell us some
time.
of
To be honest with you, I don't know what the actual chemical is, but it's a mixture of a chemical in the body.
Yeah, and it
that
becomes a new drug, right?
And it can, it can kill you.
Yes, the combination is deadly.
And you don't think about
It's
it.
a cocktail.
All them years, I didn't think about I was drinking excessively and doing the cocaine. Didn't even know.
You know, the misconception of addicts being poor as well is, I think, is one of the problems that they have. Because there's addicts at every level, you know, like some really rich addicts, people that look really successful, and they're addicts. Do you get what I'm saying?
the music business, the industry, it's full of that.
It's full of it. Look at Whitney Houston. We could talk about her because it's not a private
of
thing.
course.
You know, it's something that was all in the media. Do you get what I'm saying? And then they blame Bobby Brown all the time about that's why she was. But apparently she was the one that was more making him. He was able to quit before her. All of these different things. But even with her life, you wouldn't be able to say this is why she took the crack. Because she can't. We can.
What are you saying because of her privileged upbringing?
Yeah, she had a privileged upbringing.
Didn't need to take any drugs.
You know what I'm saying? She had a privileged upbringing. She was famous by the time she was 20.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? Then a lot of those people in Hollywood, in that world as well.
It's the pressure.
There's places that you go, depending on how upper class, quote unquote, they are. And the bar people will be setting lines for you.
Mad.
So this is actual reality within the entertainment industry with the, and they make everyone focus on the entertainment industry as the rich and famous, the successful.
Yeah, it's also a good way for controlling artists. You know, you want some coke? Yeah, just get your ass in the studio and start recording. The coke will be coming over shortly. Forget about that paper. Then suddenly they stop signing their rights and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And all kind of thing. Just get them
read your
high,
contracts.
and you know what I mean. And we'll make all the money. We'll keep them in a lovely house or whatever, and this and
a
that.
rented house.
Yeah, and all the rest of it.
Owned by them.
You know.
Everything's owned by them, and then they act like they're doing this.
You know, and thank God they're not all like that, but there's so much of that. It's a damn shame about that, really. But that's how it is.
Yeah.
You know, and as we know, you know, our health is our wealth, not our financial health, but our spiritual, mental, and physical health, is our true wealth. Money can't buy these things.
But I think that's what drags a lot of people to addiction, because they sell the rich and famous and successful. They sell these are the people that you want to be.
That's right.
So like whatever they're doing, like people are going to see what they're doing. Drinking, okay, they're popping champagne. Oh, they're sniffing cocaine. All right, you understand what I'm saying?
That's how powerful the media is.
Yeah,
and not just entertainment, just the planet.
Exactly.
How people perceive life and the world around them.
So it's not just from underprivileged backgrounds. That's what I wanted to highlight. Like I feel like it's always kind of thrown on an underprivileged background, when sometimes the highest drug takers are from the people of the higher class.
Well, the thing is, I remember as a child in the 60s reading the Daily Mirror and all that. It'd tell you about the drug of the stars, the champagne drug, the stars, cocaine. For wow, my gosh, you know what I mean? People like Marilyn Monroe, this and that, and you know what I mean? And so on and so forth. Some big names would pop up every now and again. You say, wow, man, that's another world. And then you'd hear talk about rehab. Someone's gone into rehab. That's just for rich people and celebrities and all that. Cocaine amongst the poorer folk has only recently entered the poorer folks arena.
I'd say 20 years. I said the last 20 years.
To tell you the truth, I was aware of it. It came in like in the late 70s actually.
Okay, wow.
You know what I mean? Yeah, late 70s and the early 80s. It already had a good grip on the situation.
It would have been pure, I'm guessing, at that time.
And that time, yes, it was all 85% and above. 85% and above. That 85 was minimum kind of percentage for that back in the day.
The addiction rate must have been crazy.
And
can you imagine?
Well, the thing is, no one knew that they were addicted, really. Because it was new, and everyone was just doing it, and instead of going out, you just find yourself doing lines all night and never get into the club. You know what I mean? And then
that's what I was saying earlier about the repetitiveness. Like you just, before you know it, you've been sniffing for a whole year, and you don't even know a year's gone past you. Do you know what I'm saying? You get comfortable.
Did you leave your curtains closed when you were using?
Leave my curtains? Nah. I never used to get that sort of paranoia. But the only thing I got was the chest, the palpitations.
Right. Did you hide taking cocaine?
Well, my mum didn't know at the time. I mean, obviously my...
So if it was at your mum, did you ever take cocaine at your mum's house?
No, it's at my own place.
Only at your place?
At my flat,
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't do that at my mum's house.
You never did it anywhere in public, in pubs, in the toilet?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well that's secret,
How many people,
Well, that's secret, isn't it? Do you know, I mean, you don't, I mean, someone you smoke a cigarette, you don't smoke it in secret, do you? Right, or have a drink, having a drink in the toilet.
That's true.
Even the people that you're in your friendship group, if they'll disappear. You don't know why they're disappearing for a little while. You're like, what's these two? Why are they
when they come, you can always tell because the whole demeanour changes.
If you're not drunk, but if you're drunk, you can't tell nothing. You're not really looking at people like that. You know what I mean?
That's right.
You always learn after a little. Hold on a second. It's always these two.
Yeah.
Where are they going?
Yes.
It's something, and it does have little people create their little social groups with it. Even within a social group, there'll be another social group, a mini social group that's created based on the
acceptance.
Yeah, the acceptance
group. That's what we're going to call it. The acceptance group. People that allow you to do what you're doing and not question it.
Not question.
So you don't have to.
Yes.
Deep.
Yes.
Yes,
indeed. I mean, I was just talking to a brother yesterday, actually. He phoned me up and he says he started drinking, but he's not actually taking any coke or crack, but he started drinking, but he's not feeling good about it. And I said, well, if you're not feeling good about it, don't do it. You listen to what your body, and your mind is telling you. you know.
Is it that simple all the time though? Is it that simple?
Well, it is that simple because that's what you do in recovery. We have to keep things simple. You know, intellectualizing is out. All this clever man stuff and intellectual. These are the hardest people to get well. The more intellectually thing you are and all that. He said, boy, you ain't gonna get well at all, brother. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, that intellect is God. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, that's your higher power, you know what I mean? So, and you know too much stuff. So you can't be, you know, you're always intellectualizing your way out of it. It's very difficult for the very highly intelligent people to get well. And this is why a lot of highly talented artists go to the bitter end. You know what I'm saying? Because they're so highly talented. You know, you know what I mean? They can...
Amy Winehouse.
You know, they can handle any amount of job. I can handle any amount of job. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know. Amy Winehouse is a great example. Michael Jackson is another one.
Was he on drugs though?
Of course he was.
Painkillers, sorry.
Painkillers, you know, you know,
stuff as well,
you know, really and truly, he was an addict, and you know, and Prince, and you know, just go on Jimi Hendrix, you know, you know, we're going into the reggae business. We got so many of them, you know, Gregory Isaacs, you know, and
but is that the pressure of the industry? Is that what
I think it's society.
It's a choice.
Society.
It's a choice at the end of the day. Some people, you know, we used to blame things. So it's the pressure of the job, it's the pressure of the wife, it's the pressure of the children, it's the pressure of the politics at the time, this and that. But we've learned in recovery that I am responsible. You know what I mean? This blame game of blaming this and blaming that is out. That can't help me to recover. That just helped me to carry on using. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's their fault. You know what I mean? If you were like, you know, you do the same thing. You know what I mean? Like we blame it on our mom and dad. I was abused as a child, violently. You'd be taking drugs for the rest of your life every time these memories come up, and seeing your mother battered all the time and walking around in fear in a house that you can't call a home. It's just a house. You don't even want to live there. And you're frightened from morning to night. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You're traumatized. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? I could blame it on all that kind of thing there, but I've learned not to do that. You know, and these things have given me strength in recovery. You know, I would say that I am a recovered, you know, drug addict, alcoholic, and criminal, you know what I mean, and man of violence and dishonesty.
Did it all go together, just to ask you? Because you mentioned criminals. I'm just wondering.
Yes, the crime started before the addiction, but actually the addiction actually started before the crime. You know, because the addiction, where it stems from, I traced mine back to originally from a feeling of the abandonment. You know, it started off with a feeling of abandonment. These things that trigger off, you know, the addictive personality. You know what I mean? Which is an ego thing.
When it comes to substance, though, I think it's a lot of addictions start from legal addictions. So stuff that's legal, such as sugar. You know, like
yes, indeed.
When you taste that sugary, or you have a sip, it gives you that feeling. You know, like, just like
that's right. You get hooked.
You get hooked. But some of us are probably still addicted to sugar now, but because it's legal,
you don't question it.
It doesn't become something.
Very interesting. That's
and
a good point.
It damages you as much as alcohol and drugs.
And you get diabetes if you have too much sugar.
It's not less damaging. It's actually as damaging. So
yes, indeed.
It's just I feel we get introduced to addictions through legal addictions personally.
Oh yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
very much so.
Feeling good.
That is that excessive nature.
That excessive nature. I want more anything with cakes and things like that. There's some people that are really addicted to those stuff, and look what it does to them. There's some people that are like this.
28 stone.
28. You've seen they can't even move. How did they get like that?
I know, it's crazy.
And then how are they still going? Where are they even getting money? You understand what I'm saying? Because it's a legal addiction, they might even give the government might even give them money to fund their food. Because this person needs that much food because this is how big they are. Because everyone else needs to go and get their money. You know what I'm saying? If you're an addict of something else, you might need to go and rob, steal. But for some reason, those people that are sitting in the chairs and they can't get out, they somehow don't. They're being funded.
Yes, they're being funded. In fact, there's a lot of, the rehab funding is a lot less than over North London than it is, say, in South London. Well, it was like that 20 years ago, so and I think it still is like that now. You know, it's just like also rehousing, you know, as well, if rehousing addicts and all that. You can get a lot of properties in South London to be rehousing, but over in North London it's very, very much more difficult, you know. Resources isn't the same all around.
Spread around.
Yeah.
It's all budgets though, isn't it?
And as much as we do know, and it's good that you said that we have to take our own responsibility in everything we do, but there's so much promotion for the things of addiction, because even if that you go to a shop and when you're going to pay for anything, what's behind the counter? You know what I mean? The alcohol and the cigarettes. And there's again legal addictions. You know what I'm saying? But everything is so promoted. Even the fact that there's a place called the pub
that people don't even go home from. You've got people that they're in there all day long.
And there's nothing else for you to do. Like, normal people can't go there and just do something that they would. It's generally about drinking there. You know what I mean? If you don't drink, you can go there just to socialize, but you'll be socializing with people that are drinking.
Well, of course, and alcohol is the worst drug of all. Did you know that?
I didn't.
Okay, right.
Any stats on that?
Well, there you go. You know, well, I mean, any stats on that? Well, I mean, right now, all I can say is that, what they say, there's 1 in 20 in the Islington depending on drugs and alcohol. There's 6,800 dependent on alcohol in Islington, and which I feel is a lot more than that, to be honest with you. That's registered, so forth, you know, and I think they're including Camden and Islington are joining together in this, and which makes it, if things are even more like as though, you know what I mean, when the problem is really dire,
that number's way too low.
Definitely.
For what I've visibly seen.
In Camden alone, there's drug addiction.
And I feel like sometimes their numbers are just for how they want to keep their areas, their profile of how their areas need to be for the housing to be sold, and all of these things. All of these things are
tailor-made just to suit the political
agendas.
At the
try
time.
and hide what's going on. And then even they've closed a lot of pubs over the years. I don't know if you lot have noticed that.
I don't really go to the pub.
I don't really go there, but I just because I've known which, you know, there's always a pub on the corner, or there's a pub here, the pub there, and a lot of them turn it into coffee shops. So I don't know if you noticed that.
And flats as well.
But a lot of them went instantly into Costa coffees.
So we're talking about addiction to coffee now.
Do you understand? And that was, you knew where I was going with it.
Yeah. Addiction with coffee.
Every single
coffee,
morning.
yes.
I've never had coffee in my life, by the way. I've never tried it once. What is it? What's it taste like?
Coffee?
Like coffee.
Oh, I used to love coffee, especially black coffee, you know, the percolated type, you know, from back home, you know, the smell of that. It's lovely, beautiful, you know, with the...
Coffee's a big industry.
You know,
what does coffee do?
People say it keeps you awake and all that, but it's never...
No, not like that.
It's never kept me awake, personally, coffee, but I used to go to bed on coffee. I just like the aroma and the flavor, and the fragrance as well.
I like the aroma.
And I used to like a sweet coffee, and then I ended up drinking coffee without sugar, thinking, well, it's a lot healthier. But, you know, addiction again, I was looking at it, I was thinking about it. Well, you know, like I said, my first addiction became a resentment to the abandonment of my you know, and the thing is, I realized now I became addicted to crime later on. I became kind of, you could almost say, addicted to violence for a short period of time. You know what I mean? Because I felt it was the way to, you know what I mean, to make your mark in the world, and, you know, to get respect and to get what you want and all that. So I felt all the girls like a man who can go around and beat up a few geezers, you know what I mean, and rough them up, you know what I mean, So yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Nothing's changed. Still the same. Present day.
So I became addicted to these things, you know what I mean? Unlike a lot of guys end up losing their lives because of that, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Getting themselves into violent situations they never got out, they never got out of again. You know, yeah, thank God I live to tell the tale. But I mean, I was addicted to the ego, you know, and and I'm no longer addicted to the ego. You know, a guy said to me, one big star, he was with a band called The Babies. He says, "How do you know, sing and this and that?" And you know, I was in his studio, and I says, "Well, you know, I just love it. You know, I mean, without any drugs in my system, I says it's great. I'm still on a high." And he says he can't do that sort of thing. That's you know, ever since he had to retire because of cocaine habit and all that, and nearly killed him. Actually, the doctor says either you drop the cocaine or you. That's it. So he
ultimatum.
You know, yeah. And he wondered, well, how could you know, make music without being high on drugs? But you know, the simple fact is that you know, when the drug is no longer a prop, or is no longer
present.
my, you know, or no longer my God, because you know, because we became slaves to these substances. You know, when it's no longer the master, you know, when we reclaim our own power, our own inner power, our own inner strength, our own self-will to determine which way we're going to go, rather than a substance telling me, no, you're not going to work today, you're going to buy some crack and buy some booze and go home.
Can I ask you how long after you stopped kind of doing the drugs that you felt normal again? Like, what was that time frame?
Felt normal again. Well, you could so I could go in a supermarket and
you wasn't bothered,
and I didn't have to avoid the alcohol aisle and all that sort of thing. Go in a pub, have a pee, and leave without buying a drink. I would say it took me about 7-8 years.
Okay.
Yeah, to get to that point there. Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yes, brother. Yes, I had to be very careful, you know, because, you know, there was a bit of slipping going on, you know what I mean? I've had the odd drink here and there, you know what I mean? I've even had the odd bit of crack, you know what I'm saying, in the early days, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, but it's just my honesty, really, being honest to myself and knowing where this thing leads us to.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in your case, though, did you suffer homelessness?
I never did, fortunately.
No.
But
right.
I did get to a point where I had like £4,000 rent arrears because I was choosing not to pay my rent over the cocaine. And if it wasn't for my mum helping me out, then I probably wouldn't have my place that I have now.
Did you steal at any point to get
I didn't steal because I was always working. Because it's interesting that you said earlier that there's different levels with drugs.
Yeah.
So with cocaine, I found it was people that were working class and still looked nice, still had Gucci shoes on, and you know, look the part. Do you know what I mean? So that wasn't the case for me. I was quite fortunate. But always had a job, always. But I wanted to just ask you. You know, I mentioned about my friends when I got to that stage where I wanted to make my transition, and I had to get rid of certain people around me.
Yeah.
How was it for you in terms of your social circle? Because I'm guessing that you hung around with people that used to also smoke crack and take coke and do that sort of stuff. So how did you get away from them?
Well, I had to be honest with myself. When I remember, you know, when I came to the point, to the realization that no, rehab isn't just about learning to take drugs, you know, like a gentleman, or drink like a gentleman, you know, have a sip of wine and leave it, you don't even finish the glass, you know, or you're going to have a line of coke and you probably only have half of it and you can't be bothered with the rest, and you know what I mean, and you know, and all that. So walk away from it, have it parked up for weeks and you don't touch it, you know what I mean?
But your friends, were they calling you up? So like when you was trying to start, they were like, yo, Tam,
Well,
we're down the pub, we're at this place, come down, have a little drink.
No, because really I just came to the realization that I had to have my boundaries. I had to cut away from all these people. I had to cut away from all criminals and all criminal activities. I had to cut away from all drug dens and crack houses. I had to cut away from all that sort of thing that triggered me in any way. Anything I identified as a trigger had to go. If it was a woman, I would boy, that woman there, I like taking coke and drink alcohol and I'm with that woman there. I had to avoid everyone and, you know,
changing the phone number is the best one.
Yes,
that's what I did. It's easy. Just change the number.
Yes, all those phone numbers had to go. All these dealers' numbers had to go as well. It was a cleansing process, you know, bit by bit. All these, you know, you realize so many things that you had to let go, bit by. I mean, even T-shirts that glorified drug taking or whatever had to go, you know, or alcohol had to, you know, throw them out. You know what I mean? Yes, it was, yeah, absolutely. Then suddenly you're not having no wine sauce anymore with the meal because, you know, the wine can smell of that wine, although there's no alcohol, can, you know, trigger off the alcoholism, you know, which is going to lead to the drug taking or whatever.
The mind is so powerful, isn't it? It's when you think about the addiction, what it does to you, it can literally manipulate you to the point where you don't even notice it.
Well, it's we know it as being cunning, baffling, and powerful.
I like the word cunning. Definitely.
Yeah, very.
Can relate to that word cunning when it comes to addiction.
Absolutely, and addiction is the enemy of life. You know, the enemy of life, and addiction and the ego are the best of friends. They work excellently together, excellently. We don't need an ego at all in our lives. You know, ego is the cause of all our ills in life today. But like we were talking earlier on about things been happening for so long, it becomes normalized. And that's what happened to us. We've become so corrupted. You know what I mean? That, you know, we're just born into this ego thing. I can't live without it, you know what I mean? What people going to think of me? I thought about the same thing. Man, I was this criminal, this and that. You people going to take liberty. They were going to push me around and this and that because I'm no longer, I'm ex-gangster now. I'm not, you know what I mean? And blah, blah, blah. But it's nothing like that. No one messed with me. People respected me. You know, I got honest and I'm not into that anymore. No, I'm not doing that anymore. This and that. Some tried to draw me in, say, hey, you know, I have a rock all day on the table there and all that and calling me up or why not come and pick up half a kilo or you know, whatever, and there's lots of it, you know, and blah, 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 and stuff like that. You know, a lot of people try that, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and even people who you think maybe might not tempt you in that way, then you really know who your friends really are.
Definitely.
You know, absolutely. Definitely. So there was no exceptions. I found that there was no exceptions. Even if you're a member of my family, you had to be left out. You know, absolutely. It didn't make any bloody difference. And yes, and my God, and it stretched into other areas as well. You know, like I said, you know, the thinking had to change. This dishonest, stinking thinking, you know, had to go. You know, it really, and you know, it's a gradual process. It's a long process, but it starts with a willingness and a readiness to change my whole way of thinking. You know, well, I was in a really bad way, you know. I mean, when I say that, I mean to say because not only was it with drugs, but like I said, there was crime, there was violence, you know, and a lot of forms of dishonesty in my life to deal with. So I had a lot of things to let go of because, you know, you get the who you call it, the addict who's an addict, and then he becomes a sober addict, but he's still a thief. You know what I mean? He used to steal when he was when he was in his drunken stupor or in his addiction. He stole and he lied, and now he stopped doing that, but he still steals and he still lies. Now, I didn't want to be someone like that. You know what I mean? Or he was a violent man, and now he's clean and sober. He's now even more violent. You know what I'm saying? blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, there's people like that. And I said, no, I didn't want to be like that. I've got to, you know, in order to recover, it's got to be 100%. I'd be willing to go to any lengths. Yeah, I don't know what lengths did you go to must have that drug, you know, did you walk from Islington to Brixton, you know, to get
almost. I did some crazy stuff, man.
Like what, for example?
Just something you wouldn't do now, because sometimes I think people think when you say crazy stuff, you want to hear that. Oh, yeah, I ran naked down the, you know what I mean, down the middle of the road. Like,
I just think just the I don't know, just the desperation.
Just what did you do that you wouldn't do now? What would you have done for coke that you wouldn't have done before? Sit
there and spend all my money. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, literally.
And not be concerned about how I'm going to get to work for the next week.
Yeah.
Or my food that I'm going to put in the fridge because it's all gone.
So good.
Do you know what I'm saying?
See?
I wouldn't do that now. You know, that was crazy. But at that point, you know, it was easy. It was just like 10 seconds of debating and then... You know,
still in debt after that as well.
Yeah,
you know?
you've got to borrow from people, borrow from my mum or borrow from friends, and then pay them back next week. Do you know, it's quite a vicious circle as you're fully aware.
Yeah, and that's
a horrible place.
A stinking, dirty place, and that is why we know today that the same lengths I took, I was prepared to take to make sure I got my crack and alcohol and whatever, is the same lengths I have to be prepared to take in my recovery. You know, as a matter of fact, if I only use 1/10 of that effort, you know what I mean, I'm doing extremely well.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, you know, we've got to turn things around, you know. Yeah, keep turning it around. And I like what you said about being vigilant every day, not to take a day for granted, you know, because although I am a recovered addict, I could use it any time. I'm aware of that. You know, I'm aware of that. Serious thing, 100%.
That honesty is very important.
You know, absolutely, brother.
You have to
I am aware of that. I'm not no ego thing, but I mean, nah, touch them thing again, you know. And me, no. And you see, these people, they're normally the closet drinkers and closet druggies. You know what I mean? They do it in the closet. Like I know one who was very close to our family, who passed away. Another one, he swore, no, you know, he don't do that sort of thing and this and that. And he was found dead. He's found, you know, on the floor there in some luxury apartment, you know, with cocaine in his system and alcohol in his system. And,
so sad.
You know, I remember I said to him one day, I said, you all right? You're on something, ain't you? You've been taking coke. He said, no. He was telling me, there's these cars parked out there. I think there's police in them and this and that. I says, there's no one in these cars out there. I says, I know where you're coming from because that's why I'm asking you, are you on coke? Because when I was on coke, I saw police in those cars out there. The headrests turned into faces. And all them
that one.
Yeah, you see, that dishonesty brought him to his death.
Because you take it away from being social as well, and that's what's sad. I think the closet people, they end up doing everything themselves. Yeah, you know, at least if you're doing it with people, you're sharing it.
That's right.
You know,
that's right.
In your closet, it's all yours.
It's all. That's right.
Every single time.
Overdose is highly, highly, highly more likely, and this is a disease that likes to isolate us on our own. Crazy. Once you get on your own in that room by yourself, that's it, boy. That's it, Nathan. You just, they don't understand. It's just, you know, it's just us here. You know.
I never actually used to sniff on my own. It wasn't until like the later stages.
Right.
But it's interesting you said that because I was kind of like, well, I'm not an addict because I don't do it on my own. And that was what I said to myself. But then, you know, as I said, in the last sort of stages, I'll be sitting there on my own doing it from the night to the morning. Do you know what I'm saying? On my own. And that was just, that realization was just like, it was crazy.
Did you have children at the time?
No, I've got no kids. I don't have any kids.
Okay.
I don't have no kids. Right. Yeah, luckily. So it never impacted on if I had children or my family.
Yeah, I mean,
it's very much on my own.
I had to go to other people's houses and do it you know, with my
people
children.
that were also smoking in the house.
Get away from my house completely. I mean, I did actually smoke a few times in my house when everyone's gone to bed, and make sure I pack up by 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, you know what I'm saying, before the children, the babies wake up and all that sort of thing. But I hated that one. No, I can't do it like this. So I just made sure I went somewhere out of the house and did it, and came back. But you know, that hiding, having to hide a habit, that means to say we've got to stop it. If anything we hide is something that we need to stop doing. It's like people who go to the betting shop, you know,
That's
a lot of them, addiction, and you know, they're hiding it. You know, some of their wives, many of them don't even know that they had it. They don't know why they're always broke. You know what I'm saying? We're always broke. Yeah, we left there with £100 in your pocket this morning, you know, and it's going on like this for years, and they're just lying their way out of not out of the situation, but deeper into the situation, actually. You know, their lies become our prison, you know. Thinking we're smart, we become a prison to the pain with our lies.
That's so true.
Just going to say to you, I noticed in the book on the table.
Yeah.
Are you going to tell everyone about the book, or, you know, promote the book?
Yes, well, this book here, From Rehab to Life, it's autobiographical, pertaining to my life, and basically a journey from heaven to hell, basically, but there are solutions in this book here. You know, it tells us how to, certainly shows us the road to recovery and how to go about it, and basically, it's a manual for all schools and places of learning. You know, they should all have a book like that. All rehab centers should have a book like that. And even people who don't know about drug and alcohol addiction, violence and crime, that sort of way of life, they should all have this book. It gives them a better understanding, and also about the epidemic of addiction that we have in our society today, and it's not only just about drug and alcohol addiction, but also, like I said, there's crime. I mean, we're all affected by crime. All these criminals, most of them are addicts, you know, most of them keep going back in and out. You know, it's the same thing, you know, an addiction, you know, really and truly, you know.
Institutionalized.
Yeah, well, yeah, you can call it institutionalized as well, but it's also an addiction, you know. I mean, can't stop, you know, just can't stop. You know, when you get to that point, it's an addiction. You know, some people might call it an obsession, but it's still an addiction. You know, an infatuation is still an addiction. You know, I mean, you know, you just, you know, you just become subservient to this thing here.
And I was talking last week about, you know, like, it's crazy to call something else, something positive, an addiction, but it's almost like you have to switch with another, not being whether it's addicted to work or being focused. Maybe we can call it addiction to focus. Do you know what I mean? Because when you're focused, when you're really focused on something, you know, like maybe when you was writing that book, you must have been. Some people maybe would have said you were obsessed with the book whilst writing it. You know, like when you're making an album, sometimes you're obsessed with the project. With the project.
Yeah.
And I feel like, as much as I'd rather say those good obsessions, they do help to replace the bad obsessions. So, you know, like having a focus, something that takes your focus in a way where you're so obsessed with it as well. And usually, whether it's music, whether it's arts, whether it's crafts, I believe creativity in some sort of way always helps people out of addictions as well, from what I've seen.
It's a distraction. I think anything that is distracting.
Yes, but also I've learned in life that extremes of anything is not good. You know, just because you're a great actor, singer, and all that, there's no need for you to be, you know, sleeping in the studio and waking up in there, this and that, and blah blah blah. And
I want it to be like, no, I don't think there's one way of living. When it comes to doing positive things, as long as you're not hurting no one or yourself, I feel like even if you're obsessing in ways that are just, because there's no one way to live a perfect life. There's no, if you wake up at this time, you go to sleep at this time, you do this and you do that. That, to me, that doesn't make you a better person than the guy that sleeps at the studio.
No, we're not talking about a better. We're talking about balance. We're talking about a balanced life.
Everyone can't have the same balance, though.
Yeah.
Well,
it's personal,
yes,
specific, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But you see, some people have to work at things more than others. There's certain things that from when we keep justifying them, self-justification and all these kind of things. This ego talking again is a very cunning and baffling thing. This ego here, very powerful. The thing is, it's like, for example, honesty. Is the best policy. The truth, is very unpopular. But however, these are the best ways to recovery. Asking for help, being ego-less. We mustn't lean on the ego and let it lead us astray, because that's what's been killing us, and that's what's been bringing pain into our lives, with all our self-justifications and so on and so forth, and we end up in the wrong relationships and in the wrong jobs and with the wrong people and all this and that. Less of ego and more of the truth in our lives, the more of humility in our lives for people, and the more of God in our lives for those who believe in God. The more of, self-love in our lives. And, I'll just end it there, and I just wishing everybody the best, that people get something out of it.
To wrap up?
I think he's said it, the best way that he can. Totally agree with that. Just being honest with yourself, that's it. Just being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. We're going to have a great episode.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Like and subscribe and all those good things.
Thank you very much. Nice one.